We are driving across Canada, covering as much distance as possible. Quebec and Ontario has a lot to offer. There is an incredible amount of culture and nature to see, but since we have just a bit more than a year and a half for the whole of the Pan American Highway, we can't afford to spend too much time in the central part of the country. We chose to focus on the western part. We could easily spend a whole year only traveling through Canada. There's really so much to see. But we just have to make our choices and unfortunately focus on just some parts of the country.
We are Evelyn and Ferenc. Follow us on our adventures as we share our overland trips from all around the world.
Finding campsites along the way is our daily task. A logging trail or just a picnic spot next to the highway. Deciding where we want to spend the night is very easy. This is where we are sleeping tonight, next to this beautiful lake. I'm doing a bit of checking every morning. I check the oil levels, I check the tires, just a general check if there is any cuts or any marks that seem to be dangerous, or any wear on the tire, maybe because of the suspension, tire alignments, anything like that. And this morning I also checked the shaft bolts because they came loose last week due to the appalling work on the Iveco garages side about a couple of months ago. I'm very disappointed in that, but now I learned my lesson not to bring it there anymore. Anyway, so yeah, I need to check some stuff pretty much every day, maybe every couple of days, and just very basic stuff. We have a lot of distance to cover, so there's bound to be problems on the way. I just want to be ahead of the game and try to avoid some more serious stuff if I catch them when they are like minor. We are in Ontario province, and finally we got the feeling that we're making progress going west.
And the reason why it's quite complex why we are trying to make progress and not stop at every corner where we see something that it's worth checking out, because Canada is absolutely fantastic. There is a lot of stuff to see, and it's quite impossible to check out everything. And with our sort of year and a half time frame, if we look at the Canada to Argentina distance, it's quite impossible to see and look at everything. So we have to be selective, but on top of that we also have a mission. And you might have seen in the previous episode, our mission is to actually get to Melfort in Saskatchewan province, because Evelyn's great-grandfather used to work there on a farm, and as we discovered in the Immigration Museum in Halifax. So we're trying to get there. It's quite a bit of a distance. It's not quite in our way, but almost. So it's not a big detour. And we will go there and try to see if there is a museum there, or maybe a library, or some kind of an office where there are records, labor records, anything. Maybe if you find more, it would be quite nice to see if there is any paperwork, any records left of him working there. Maybe we will find a farm where he used to be employed. We don't know yet. Nova Scotia is worth discovering for weeks and months. It's such a nice place, and there is a lot to do. All the lighthouses, the lighthouse routes, history. There's a lot of naval history, Acadia, and it's just a really nice place to be. But then we decided to make progress going west, and we went around the state of Maine in the US, on the Canadian part, and we ended up walking into the US because there is a section of the border where you can actually do that legally. There's a footbridge, you can just walk across. There's a park on the other side where the border is actually marked with just simple ribbons. And it's quite fascinating to jump between two massive countries, and you step on one side, you're in one country, and a small step on the other side and you're in the other country. What was very surprising is that we still saw lakes frozen. The weather started to warm up a little bit. It was still very, very cold during the night. We still needed to use our heating. But during the day it started to warm up, which was quite refreshing, because we were cold for a couple of weeks, and it was nice to see that the weather is actually started to warm up even in Canada. But the scenery is just stunning. You drive on these roads through the hills, nice beautiful trees and villages, just really beautiful. We've decided to not drive on, this is our thing anyway, we don't drive on motorways. We drive on smaller rural roads and small roads between towns and cities. The motorways is actually it's just simply too fast and very boring for our Iveco. We drive between 70 and 80 kilometers an hour, which is very, very slow. It doesn't feel slow in the van, but otherwise for the traffic and for what you can see from there, it's very slow. And the nice little roads between villages is just a lot nicer. So that's what we do, and that's what you see more. So you come across stuff that you didn't read about, you just see stuff next to the road, just a lot more interesting. That's how we keep heading west. We spent a whole day in Montreal, and we realized, as much as a nice city, it seemed like a very nice city, massive city, and I like big cities. It was a hot day, it was a difficult day, and we just felt relief when we left. It was really, really good to leave, and that's how we felt. And we ended up in Mont-Tremblant, which is a skiing resort type village north of about an hour and a half north of Montreal, and it turned out to be a very, very good choice for us. Also because we met Cody, and Cody is a legend.
Represent. Keep your eye out, people. Keep your eye out.
It's just another example of how nice Canadians are with us, and I'm very sure they're nice in general, so they're not just nice to us, but our little van draws a lot of attention. Unsurprisingly, it's an obscure van here, it's not sold here, so nobody knows it. It's got the stickers and everything, all the gear on top, and so if somebody is interested in overlanding, they immediately notice it. Even people who are not interested in overlanding, to be honest. And Cody just stopped because he saw us in the center of the village. We had a nice chat. He told us how he's interested in overlanding and he's doing all these survival things as well. And he's such a nice guy. He even helped us getting a local SIM card because we have issues with our internet access. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. But we got to spend an evening at his land, at his place where he lives. And it was a magical place because he lives on 180 acres of forest and lakes and just beautiful land in a very peaceful environment. And it's just the type of place where we love spending time. He is a very nice guy. He also spent 3 months on his own in the Algonquin National Park, just fishing and hunting for his own food for 3 months. I mean, that was just a fantastic story. He told us about it, how he had to build his shelter or his tent every day and just catch his food every day, and for 3 months on his own. I mean, I would think that's totally impossible to do in Europe because there isn't as many wild animals anymore, and I don't think you can just go out and hunt anytime you want and fish and stuff. That just seems to be a story that is impossible in Europe, but it can still be done in Canada because you still have these pockets of wilderness and remoteness and stuff, so you can practice these skills if you wanted to. I don't know if you can hear me from all the crickets around here. We ended up on Cody's beautiful land, and we met Cody in Mont Tremblant. We were parking in the village and he approached us because he saw our truck, and I guess it stands out, so he really liked our truck. He came to say hi and have a look at the truck. So we met him a few times in a couple of days because the town is really small, and he's a really nice guy, and he offered his land for us to camp for tonight, or for any other night actually, he said. We're heading west, so we are only staying one night, but have a look at this. It's such a beautiful place, and I think if you can have this in Canada, it's a special country. There's a lot of mosquitoes though. So there's got to be a downside. If you can't have it perfect, but this is just really cool. We are finally doing some hiking in this beautiful forest next to Mont Tremblant.
Correct.
Mont Tremblant. Mont Tremblant.
Mont Tremblant.
Mont Tremblant. It's good to exercise a little bit at least. It's not too hard, it's a very easy trail, but that's all we get now. We have to make progress because Canada is too big. So we spent a few really nice days in Mont-Tremblant, but as I said, we wanted to make progress going west. So here we are now next to the Trans-Canada Highway in Ontario, the northern part. We're not next to the Great Lakes yet, we're going down there to Thunder Bay, but we're still up north and headed to Saskatchewan. I think it's going to take us about 3 days still to get there, and let's see what happens.